These are your notes for the experimental design diagram. This is the format for experiments that we'll use in class. The first part of the diagram is the question. Your question should be formatted as, how does the independent variable affect the dependent variable? The second part of the experimental design diagram is the hypothesis. The hypothesis is where you make a prediction or educated a guess about the results of the experiment you're about to perform. It should always be written as an if-then statement. The if part of the hypothesis is where you choose one of the levels of the independent variable to make a prediction on. Your then part of the statement is the prediction that you're making about your results. Now it's time to build the data table. The first thing you need to do in your data table is identify your independent variable, the part of the experiment that you're changing. Think of the materials that you need in order to answer your question from the beginning. You should change your independent variable in at least 3 ways. You may also need a control for your experiment, which is a normal or a standard of comparison when collecting your data. Next, you're going to identify the dependent variable, or the results that you're going to collect during the experiment. These results should be measurable, probably using meters, liters, and grams, or in the other units that we've talked about in class. This is called quantitative data, where you're using numbers to measure your results. Sometimes you do use qualitative data for results, where you're using words to describe what's happening during an experiment. The bulk of your data table will be filled with the data that you collect during the experiment. Don't forget to provide a unit with each one of your data collections. Next, you'll identify the constants, the part of the experiment that stay the same. These are important because you need to make sure that you are only changing one factor of the experiment in order to provide a good, valid answer to the original question. Only the independent variable should be your changing factor. Everything else about the experiment should be exactly the same.